All right, check this out. I want to show you guys the importance of relentlessly pushing back against pro-Russian disinformation, against Republican lies, and doubling down on the truth, because multiple right-wing podcasters, right-wing comedians, deleted their pro-Russia or vaguely anti-Zelenskyy, anti-Ukraine tweets after they were fact-checked. They were called out as liars and nearly bullied into deleting these after they realized, hey, I am just entirely wrong. Like, you guys know Theo Von, right? I actually find him to be quite a funny guy. He's an American comedian. He interviewed Trump. I wouldn't even call him MAGA. He's not MAGA, but he's definitely right-wing coded in the sense that he's like very country coded, and I find him to be a funny dude. But he clearly knows nothing about the war in Ukraine because he posted some very insane tweets and then deleted them right after. Other podcasters posted very ignorant tweets, then deleted them right after. Like, why are podcast comedian bros talking about geopolitics? I don't care what this vaguely right-wing comedian has to say on the situation in Ukraine. I truly don't. But I want to run you through how he got fact-checked, how he deleted everything, because I think it's important to see people like this getting faced with the reality of the war. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for 1 million. Drop some blue hearts for 1 million. You guys are the best. And let's start here. Theo Von tweeted out yesterday after Trump and Zelenskyy met. He said, "Tell that guy to give us our tax dollars back and GTFO here. Get the fuck out of here. Disrespectful guy using our money and using his own people." It just shows this dude does not have a fundamental understanding of the war, and that's fine. Not every comedian has to, but you don't have to chirp about it online. Number one, Zelenskyy can't give us our tax dollars back because he doesn't have money. We didn't wire Zelenskyy money. We gave him old American military equipment that we had in our stockpiles and that we weren't going to use anyway. So it was a win-win. We give them our old equipment and Zelenskyy gets to fight Putin. He then says, disrespectful guy. How is he disrespectful? He wasn't disrespectful. He said using our money, not money, again, military equipment, and using his own people. He's not using his own people. Ukrainians have wanted to fight for their sovereignty for decades now. Ever since the inception of the country after the Soviet Union was dissolved, Ukrainians have fought and fought for any sort of national identity. So now that Putin is trying to strip that away, many Ukrainians are more than willing to put their lives on the lines to fight for their country, including Zelenskyy. Zelensky's had a target on his back for 3 years, probably even longer, and he continues to fight. That's also why he doesn't leave his military suit, right? His military costume, because Zelenskyy wants to show solidarity with the citizens of Ukraine who also all have a target on their back. Everybody who's of Ukrainian identity right now has a target on their back. So then somebody responded and fact-checked him and said, yo, Theo, we weren't sending tax dollars or suitcases full of cash. We were sending billions in old munitions, rockets that we would have to otherwise pay to dismantle. The Ukraine war has cost us nothing in the grand scheme, and this guy is right. The talking points are so simple and so intuitive, and they line up with reality. All you have to say is, this military equipment would have been very expensive to dismantle due to the toxins. It would have been very, very expensive. You can't just throw it overboard over a ship and throw it into the sea. No, it's expensive. So we send it over to Ukraine. They use the military equipment. They use the money we give them back, and they put it back into the American economy and American manufacturers, and it helps us out. So as more and more people began to fact check Theo Von, he began to feel the pressure and he deleted his post. And then more people begin to fact check him. Somebody says, it was America that backed him. You can't back a guy while you antagonize a neighbor into attacking and then say good luck. So this guy seems vaguely pro-Ukrainian, but also he's wrong. We did not antagonize Russia in any way. Russia has had imperial ambitions for decades now, and we didn't antagonize them. We allowed Ukraine to move more westward. Theo Von then says, I don't know if we will ever know the truth behind all of it. I just don't like his attitude, and I'm sitting in a diner in Toledo, Ohio, a city that could use attention, and we are giving our money to anyone other than our people and places. God, this is like a level 1, surface level, wrong talking point. Whenever you hear someone use the talking point, hey, why don't we just give the money that we're giving to Ukraine to our homeless people? It's so simple. You just say, do our homeless people need HIMARS or Abrams tanks? Does the border need Abrams tanks? Because that's what we're sending over to Ukraine. highly technical military equipment, not just money. I don't know how many times I have to say it for these Republicans, but Theo Von says, I don't know if we will ever know the truth behind all of it. That's part of the problem. That's what bothers me with conspiracy theories, is that people who are very predisposed to trying to find a conspiracy in everything always think there is some deeper truth, that Putin's not really the bad guy. The media is just making Putin seem like the bad guy, blah, blah. No, it's really that simple. There really is no deeper truth other than the fact that Vladimir Putin, the guy who's actually a dictator in Russia, who came into power in 2000 and then suspended elections for 25 years as a dictator, and Zelenskyy is not. When a big country starts to invade a tiny country next door and rapes and kills and buries children in mass graves, maybe it is that simple. Maybe Vladimir Putin is just a bad dude, but people just have it so confused, so predisposed to believing in conspiracies, which is a win for Putin. Then Maxim calls out Theo Von even further, gets him to delete his post even further, and says, your brain is washed with Russian propaganda, Theo. At least try to learn the truth before saying, quote, IDK if we will ever know the truth. Talk about disrespect. And you can't even spell Zelenskyy's last name. Brain rot all around, because Theo Von said a post where he said, I don't trust Zelenskyy, and he spells it completely wrong. Somebody else fact checks him and says, the truth is that Ukraine was attacked by the enemy, Russia, our enemy, Russia. The US, along with Europe, backed Ukraine in a fight to keep their nation free. Putin had no interest in peace and violated previous agreements made previously by Ukraine. Ukraine's fight was a righteous one. Then Theo Von says, probably true, I don't trust Zelenskyy. And then someone says, Theo, please educate yourself and don't turn into a useful idiot for the machine. Russia attacked Ukraine for wanting to join NATO. We can't abandon an ally like this. It's disgusting, but even that is false. Russia did not attack Ukraine for wanting to join NATO. How is Russian propaganda so pervasive? Russia attacked Ukraine for the first time back in 2014, but this was off the back of them attacking Georgia in 2008. This is because Vladimir Putin has always talked about restoring the old Soviet empire, which necessitates invading countries around you. So Vladimir Putin has these grand imperial ambitions to restore the legacy of Russia, and he invades next door neighbors. It really is that simple. He's using the NATO lie as a pretext to invade. But Theo Von doesn't know anything. I don't know why he's commentating on foreign politics. Then someone says, so all the people that thinks Ukraine owes the US tax dollars, like this motherfucker here, Theo, do your math before you talk. The US has earned $200 billion more than usual on oil, weapons, and other sales because of Putin's invasion. Other people were saying, I used to be a fan of you, Theo Von, I'm just really not. But here's another podcaster who gave his opinion, then deleted his post. And that's why I made an entire video about this, because this happened like 3 or 4 times where some podcaster or some comedian would make a post showing that they know nothing about the situation, then delete the post hours later after receiving a lot of backlash. Lex Fridman, a podcaster who was born in Ukraine and still somehow said, quote, the amount of disrespect President Zelenskyy showed to Donald Trump and the American people today was insane. How? How, Lex Fridman? What did Zelenskyy do? Because it really seemed like it was a trap. It really seemed like Trump and J.D. Vance wanted to bait Zelenskyy either way and just snap on him. But then Lex Fridman says, this was a mistake. I have tremendous respect for President Zelenskyy for the heroic actions he took in the early days of the war, but diplomacy at this stage obviously requires showing respect to world leaders, even more so during tense, difficult peace negotiations. Dude, Trump is the one, I remember about 6 months ago, or maybe it was like 4 months ago, Zelenskyy and Trump did a meeting at Mar-a-Lago, and Zelenskyy was so incredibly respectful that even people on the left were kind of annoyed. They were like, Zelenskyy, you didn't have to kiss his ass that hard, because he was like, I hope we can be friends. He was nearly hugging him, but we all understood why he was doing that. He was doing it for his country. Zelenskyy has been nothing but respectful to the US, to Trump, to both administrations, including the Biden and the Trump administration. Yet Trump has this personal vendetta, and then he calls Zelenskyy a dictator. He calls Zelenskyy all of these nasty, terrible things, and then when Zelenskyy shows up, the first thing he says is, oh, you wore your nice clothes, or whatever snarky remark he made. And then when he snaps on Zelenskyy, they say that Zelenskyy was being disrespectful. I think it's gaslighting in its purest form. Let me know. You guys agree that it's gaslighting. Let me know in the comments. But let's continue. He says, I have tremendous respect for President Zelenskyy for the heroic actions he took in the early days, but diplomacy at this stage obviously required showing respect to world leaders, even more so during difficult peace negotiations. I did everything I could to help in small ways to build bridges. This was the opposite of that. It breaks my heart. I pray for peace. I mean, now Republicans are calling for Zelenskyy to step down, to resign. It makes no sense. Zelensky's been probably the best leader you can be during a war like this. Now, someone said in response to Lex Fridman, all Zelenskyy said was that he can't sign a ceasefire without a security guarantee because Russia has not respected any paper they signed over the last 11 years. People should stop saying it's disrespectful and start explaining how it's untrue. It is incredibly untrue. On the world stage, there are bad faith actors and there are good faith actors. It's not always that black and white, but generally, countries are predictable in their actions. And even if a country is unpredictable, that just means that they are a bad faith actor. So for example, Russia broke the Budapest Memorandum, has broken all of these different agreements and accords and meetings. We know that they are a reckless bad faith actor. They can't be trusted. That's why a ceasefire means nothing without actual security guarantees. Say we give Ukraine the ceasefire and there's no security guarantees, Russia doesn't care about a piece of paper. Vladimir Putin could not give less of a shit about a piece of paper, so he'll just reinvade in 5 years. But if we give them some sort of security guarantees in the form of weapons, or, a nuke is a security guarantee, all of these different things disincentivize Putin from ever invading. And you know what the depressing part is? America has built its credibility over the past 80 years. We built all of this prosperity off of being one of those good faith countries. Article 5 in NATO requires every country that's in NATO to be predictable, meaning they will all respond to an Article 5 attack, but the US is now such an unpredictable ally that Article 5 means nothing, that we've lost years of credibility that we've worked to build up, and we are now one of those bad faith actors, just like Vladimir Putin is, which is very, very scary. And then you see Lex Fridman delete his tweet. The person who wrote the last tweet I said, Lex deleting his tweet is so funny. And now the post is unavailable from Lex Fridman. This page doesn't exist. Maybe do a little bit of research if you're a comedian or a podcaster and you want to talk about Ukraine. Just maybe. But I'll leave it at that. Again, thank you guys for a million. If you enjoy these videos, drop a like and subscribe. Drop some blue hearts. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.